Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another PossibilityStorm.com puzzle. So this week, we have an interesting rare Possibility Storm, getting near the end of Rivals of Ixalan season of Possibility Storm, and if you're interested in finding out more about the season, make sure to head over to their Patreon, where you can get more information about the Rick season of PossibilityStorm.com. Anyway, like usual, gonna give you a couple quick rules, and I'll give you a chance to pause the video, see if you can come up with a solution to this week's PossibilityStorm.com puzzle, and then I'll jump back in and give you the answer. So anyway, the big rule of Possibility Storm, gotta win this turn. No passing, hoping your opponent messes up, draws poorly, you draw well. Gotta win this turn with only the information given. Our opponent is at 14 life, we're at 1 life, they have a bunch of blockers, we have some attackers, we have a couple of Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers, Nicole Bolas the Deceiver, on the battlefield, ready to ultimate. Also, our library is known in this one. We got a bunch of basic lands and 1 Vraska Scheming Gorgon, and this is important. Remember, only 6 total cards left in our library, because it might be tempting to just fire off Nicole Bolas the Deceiver's ultimate. However, that would actually be very detrimental to our game plan. So anyway, see if you can figure out a way to 14 our opponent this turn, and I will be right back in a minute to give you the answer. So how did you do? Did you come up with a solution to this week's PossibilityStorm.com puzzle? So let's delve into this puzzle a little bit deeper. So our opponent, 14 life, we're at 1 life. They have a total of 5 blockers, 4 Grasping Scoundrels somehow, along with the Flying Twilight Prophet. So 1 flyer, 4 ground blockers. On our side of the battlefield, we have Nicole Bolas the Deceiver, which I think the ultimate is the most relevant, potentially, aspect of the card. So we can plus it to make our opponent lose 3 life unless they sacrifice or discard something. We can negative it to destroy a creature, draw a card, or we can ultimate it, which does 7 damage to our opponent and lets us draw 7 cards. However, that's a little risky with only 6 cards in our deck, so that is a hurdle we would have to overcome if we want to go on the ultimate Nicole Bolas plan. Otherwise, we have a Kefnet the Mindful, not currently creaturey. Well, it's always a creature, but not a functional creature, because we only have 4 cards in hand. Would have to get up to 7 to let Kefnet actually attack and block. Ravenous Chupacabra, just a 2/2. Rashmi can maybe find us our Vraska Scheming Gorgon, which is the 1 non-land card left in our deck. Otherwise, we got 10 mana, including a couple of Heshep Oasises, which we can't actually activate very easily, or at all, I don't believe. In our hand, we have Approach of the Second Sun, Expel from Mrazka to do some bouncing, or since we have Ascend, we actually would put a non-land permanent on top of its owner's deck. Blossoming Defense for some pump action, and then a River's Rebuke, which can get rid of our opponent's entire board. So the first thing to check with this puzzle, is there any way we can use River's Rebuke and win? I mean, a lot of times these puzzles are about figuring out combat, getting through our opponent's blockers, and we have a card in hand in River's Rebuke that literally just says, get rid of all of your blockers. So we get rid of all the blockers, we can go attacking with Chupacabra, with Rashmi. That's still not really enough to do anything relevant as far as winning the game. So it's not the blockers that are really keeping us in check. If we could somehow get Kefnet up to attack mode, then that might be a relevant plan. We'd have 7 damage from Kefnet, 2 from Chupacabra, 2 from Rashmi. We could maybe plus our Nicole Bolas, but that wouldn't actually work either because our opponent could just sacrifice something. So how can we actually piece this together and find the win from the board state? And I think the key to this puzzle is being able to ultimate our Nicole Bolas. So I think we got to get a smidge tricky and find a way to get more cards in our deck to actually be able to win this game. So here's what I'm thinking. I think step 1, we want to use 7 of our mana to cast Approach of the Second Suns. So Approach goes on the stack. That's going to trigger Rashmi with a Cascade-esque ability. So with that trigger on the stack, we want to take and cast Expel from Mrazka on our own Ravenous Chupacabra to get Chupacabra on top of our library. So we go from 6 cards in our library up to 7 cards in our library. Then Rashmi's trigger is going to resolve. We get that Chupacabra, we get to cast it, we destroy our opponent's Twilight Prophet with the Enter the Battlefield trigger. Then Approach resolves. We gain a bunch of life, which is great, but more importantly, Approach is going to go back into our deck. So we go up to 7 cards in our library, and we gain life up to 8. Finally, since we have 7 cards in our deck, that allows us to ultimate our Nicobolas. We're going to draw every single card in our deck, down to 0 cards in our library. So we refill our hand, draw our entire deck. Opponent is going to take 7, dropping them down to 7. The other key part of this is it also lets us turn on our Kefnet. Since we're drawing those 7 cards with Nicobolas, we have enough cards in hand that Kefnet can attack, so now we just throw our Blossoming Defense at our Kefnet. That gives us a 7 power flying attacking creature, exactly enough to kill our opponent and close out the game. So the trick here isn't so much about what our opponent's got going on, it's about finding the way to get the cards in our library that we need to be able to ultimate our Nicobolas, and that's the way to do it. Cast Approach, put our own Chupacabra on top of our deck for the Rashmi with Expel for Mrazka, then we get the Chupacabra back, then the Approach goes into our library, up to 7 cards, exactly enough to ultimate Nicobolas, which gives us enough cards in hand that we can cast the Blossoming Defense and attack with our Kefnet the Mindful for the remaining 7 points of damage and kill our opponent exactly. So, is that what you came up with? Did you come up with another possible solution? I know sometimes there's multiple solutions to these puzzles. So, anyway, that's been our Possibility Storm puzzle for this week. Again, if you're interested in the Rick season of Possibility Storm, make sure to check out the Possibility Storm Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.